program is part of the Scene Project's podcast network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are. Welcome into another exciting episode of Real Biz. I am your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today from Leap AI, Merav Yanai. Merav, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thanks for bring me here, and I'm very much excited to be here. Let's start.
Yeah, well, before we get too far into what you've built with Leap AI and everything that it's doing to revolutionize operations for corporations, I'd love to get a little bit of your backstory out there and kind of bring us forward to how we got to where we are now. So I'll give you the floor and you can share as much as you like.
Okay, so actually my career starts 35 years ago, and for 16 years I've been an organizational consultant, and I had a firm of my own, and then I moved into organizations and corporates, and had 16 more years with holding executive C-suite positions, moving from HR positions to operations and to merger and acquisitions. That's in a nutshell. Some of the companies are well known, like Danaher, AIG, Orbitech. Some are less known, but in general, I spend my time in corporates, in big corporates.
Well, and I feel like from our initial conversation that the beginning of your career working in HR heavily informed how you operated when you got into operations and then eventually with your consulting business. Can you talk about how that time spent in HR really gave you a foundation to build Leap AI on?
Okay, so the first step is moving from HR to operations. Now, this move is not a trivial one, okay? You need to build some foundations before you can run this kind of a change. And luckily, I was responsible for business processes as well, for continuous improvement. So I knew something about what is going on in operations. When I say operations, I'm literally talk about engineering, production floors, warehouses, spare parts. It's a totally different world than HR. And I spent my time there for 3 years. And these years were very, very successful in terms of impacting P&L. However, the majority of the learning I made at the first month. And here's a short story. I joined operations at the end of November. Now, if you know operations, end of December, it's end of the year, and you need to deliver the entire promised revenue, and it's a lot of pressure. So I found myself don't do any of the leadership practices I taught others to do, even not the junior team leader. So after the first month, which was the end of December, I stopped. Like it was a hard stop, and I realized I tried to explain myself why I don't implement any of the best practices. I managed 30 years before. I consulted hundreds or maybe more of managers. How come I don't do anything of the practices? Then I realized something that it took me 30 years to learn, that we as a discipline, we talk to managers with the professional terms, but managers have problem to solve. they wake up in the morning and then they don't say, I have team building. I need to run a process of team building. They say, come on, these two guys, stop fighting with each other. We need to progress, okay? So it's a totally different angle. And this was a transformation for me because I learned that managers have their problem point of view, and we as a discipline have these professional terms point of view. And now it's like two parallel lines. And we always expect managers to implement our best practices while they have challenges, daily challenges to solve. So, jumping to these days, when I decided to found Leap, which was at the beginning of 2025, um, I um, I decided to bring this experience into Leap. Uh, that's kind of the intro.
No, perfect. Well, and you touched on something really important there is that most people who have risen to positions as managers in operations, whether that's, whatever level of that mid management that it happens to be, they've risen there usually from the ranks of the floor. They were on the bottom of the totem pole and have risen to this. So they understand things in much more of what I would call layman's terms. They understand it in workers' terms. And yes, while they understand the words that are being said but they don't necessarily understand how that gets implemented in a practical way. And I feel like Leap is helping to bridge that gap, and what you're bringing with that experience that even you had, who taught the technical terms but then being put in the operations position, understood that it's not always easy to take these terms and to make real sense out of them in the workplace.
Definitely, definitely. This is a very precise definition of it. Okay, because what we do in LIP, actually, LIP is a decision-making platform for mid-level managers. Okay, it's important, that turns daily leadership challenges, friction, into better decisions and faster execution. And we blend the idea is to coach the managers on the job and give them a blending of the emotional and the what we call HR insights aside to business process improvement. And this combination is really important. Why? Because we used to think in silos, okay? People and the disciplines work in silos. HR knows organizational psychology. We know our silos. Finance knows theirs, and so on. But the world is more complicated than our silos, and the combination of understanding the processes I need to be responsible for and the dynamics, the people dynamics around the process, only the combination of these two can really help me to solve my challenges as a manager. So this understanding, I learned it by foot, okay? I learned it and by practice, okay? And I understood that it's not enough to understand one part of the equation. Uh, you need to work with the two parameters in order to really solve problems. And we solve really big problems like inventory reliability, like availability of parts, like um, um, delivery of systems, on-time delivery, like shorten the delivery time as well. So we impacted a lot of parameters that were important for the company, for the customers, but it was not by mistake or it just happened. It was a very consistent problem solving system, okay, very consistent. And we went from one problem to another. We implemented the principle of critical few. Okay, you have 300 problems, you cannot manage 300 problems, so start with the critical three. Now you have 297 to go. So but after these three you can go to the next three and so on. Okay, so all in all, this is once you have a consistent process to lay on, it works. And this is what we do in Leap. It's not just a chat GPT or whatever LLM you use, Gemini or Claude. It's not just getting the answer. It's going through the process of analyzing the problem.
Well, because there may be several different answers to the problem that you're facing, and you have to get beyond the buzzwords. I think it's really easy to lean on, oh, well, you need to, do some team building, or you need to, it's easy to get caught up in these buzzwords, but to not really understand what that means, right? And not all team building is the company picnic or the retreat that everyone takes together or small group things like that. Team building can literally be, are you checking in with your people on a personal level every day? Are you communicating? Are you finding out what's going on sometimes in their personal lives to understand, and not just relying on data to solve the problems or to identify the problems? Maybe the reason that your inventory and things aren't happening is because somebody in that department isn't as efficient as they can be because of something that's happening outside of the workplace. And while it is not your problem as a manager to solve all their problems, sometimes just being heard for a worker is good enough to feel like they can do their job effectively again, to know that somebody cares about them. And I think that's the unique position that you bring with your time in HR, because you've seen those problems and you've seen how they affect worker productivity, and you're able to apply them using the AI now by plugging your experience into it to deliver answers to these mid-level managers.
Definitely.
So that they don't have to learn, as you put it, by foot.
Yeah. And they actually learn it. We call it, 70% of the learning is by trial and error. Okay, sometimes more error than trial. Okay, so it impacts the organization, the engagement level, the attrition, the performance. It's kind of a wide impact on the organization, and it costs the company millions. So it's a real problem that we had not good enough tools to solve before. Nowadays we do have, with the AI we can really coach team leaders. Okay, give team leaders the privilege executives had before, because executives had a coach or a mentor, or they had a decision making procedure or a way to kind of discuss and debate. Team leaders, senior leaders, group leaders, department managers, project manager, product managers, they don't have that kind of support. So they try whatever they can. And here we are in the point that we can leverage it and make Leap the standard for every manager.
Do you see my leap as more of a agent for mentorship in that area than
Not just
necessarily just a problem solver?
okay. That's a good question. Okay. I'll tell you my vision. Okay. My vision is that this agent, okay, it's not one agent, it's of course tens of agents, but talking about, let's call it agent, okay? This agent goes with you as a manager as your buddy, okay, your best friend, your best coach on one hand, and on the other hand, it helps you to really work, manage, coordinate, and cooperate between team members. Now, let's talk about future of work. What is the situation we're going to face in 2 3 years now? Okay, every employee will be a manager. How come? Because they are going to have agents. They need to manage agents. They need to manage processes because every agent is responsible for part of any process. Okay, now imagine a manager that has employees or managers, the new managers, and agents. The complication of managing all this chaos remotely, hybrid, call it whatever, it's a much higher complication than we have today. So the managers of today needs to be masters in business processes. So only the combination of soft skills and business process improvement, only this combination is going to win. Because we need to see processes. And we didn't tell our managers, or we haven't told our managers up until now, you need to improve your business processes. We told them you need to perform, bring their results and meet the timeline, la la la. However, now we tell them, you know what? Yeah, you need to perform and bring the results aside to improving the business processes because you need to implement AI. It's a new era for the majority of the managers. So it's kind of going to be with us for a long journey. And I believe that it's not enough just to give you insights. You need to understand what to do with these insights and how to transform your business processes and take all of it into action, into execution. Now, taking only insights is nice. It's awareness, it's improve your awareness and making you a better person, but it's not enough for the business. So this orientation combines two disciplines, two sectors. Okay, it's the organizational psychology aside with the industry engineering. So it's not trivial, but this is what we expect from our managers. So this is the way we need to support it.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible. And it's going to be a powerful tool for corporations to put a mentor and a process expert and to help their managers be better managers, which is going to make everyone more effective, more efficient, and eventually affect that bottom line. And while it's not all about the, the red or the black and the profit and loss statements, those things are affected positively by using Leap AI. And I think that's so incredible what you're bringing to the world and using your experience in your life to craft these agents, these tens of agents now that are inside of this. And they're always going to be learning. And I think that's what people kind of fail to understand about the evolution of artificial intelligence is that when you're able to plug these agents in and introduce them to you, and all of them may come as a stock unit, but each one is going to learn more about you and your processes as it goes. And it's only going to become better at doing the job and helping you to be better at your job.
Definitely. And managers now need to practice new skills. So it's not just that the AI is here to improve processes and help them. They need to acquire new skills, and they need to connect the dots now and to open bottlenecks, and they need to make clarity. Now, the way to make clarity is not to call ChatGPT or any LLM and tell them, okay, can you make a clarity for me? Because you need to make this clarity daily. However, you need to take your challenges and analyze them deeply in order to create this clarity. And another point came from your point that I want to mention, came from your point, is that the majority of problems is not people problems. It's not that we come to work and hate each other because I hate you or I don't want to work with you. It's because of system problems. It's because our work processes are not aligned. And we need to structure it differently in order to reduce this friction. So it was there before AI, and it will be more complicated with AI. So it's not just that you need to understand the people problem, okay? It's again, you need to understand the system. We used to say that 95% of problems, of organizational problems, are because of work processes and not because of people. I think that the main skill managers are going to face is how to orchestrate this whole system, how they should orchestrate agents, the people, the remote management, and some of the AI work, how to embed it into the day-to-day, and so on. So, and of course, execution, which was there before and and is there for last, maybe.
Well, Merav, I appreciate you coming on and sharing about Leap AI. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat with you again. I think it's absolutely revolutionary what you're doing. I have not heard of any other such program that is really plugging this into the middle level of management, which is where so many of the problems are solved for these major corporations. They're usually not solved at the very top of the company. They're solved by the people that have direct contact with the ones in operations that are doing the work and that are below the people necessarily making the decisions who get to cash the big paychecks. So Merav, go ahead and share anything else you'd like to, where people can obviously find Leap AI and to contract your services.
Definitely, it was my pleasure, and I'll be very happy. I wrote a book about it, so if someone is interested, it calls Dialogic Management in a Changing World, and you can find it on Amazon. And also about Leap, of course, contact myleap.ai, and I'll be very happy to contact you directly.
Well, thank you
And
so much,
thank you
Merav.
very much.
Oh, it was absolutely my pleasure getting to chat with you. And I hope we get to chat again in the future as well. So thank you for your time today. And thank you for being part of the scene.
Thank you very much.
Imagine capturing the raw essence of nature, with its infinite color and beauty. Now, envision turning that into something truly transformative. Pure and easy tea cultivates the goodness of nature's bounty into fuel for your body. We are what we drink. Pure and easy tea, the pure nourishment your body craves.